The forest trail meandered through dense Oregon woodland, a quiet landscape of towering trees and thick undergrowth. Jay Park walked slowly, his sturdy hiking boots crunching against fallen leaves and soft earth. His German shepherd, Bori, moved. Beside him, with practiced ease, occasionally sniffing the ground and scanning the surrounding environment, Jay was a man who understood wilderness. Years of working as a wilderness rescue specialist had taught him to read landscapes like others read books. Every rustle, every subtle change in the forest's rhythm told a story. Today, something felt different. Bori suddenly stopped. Her ears perked up, muscles tensing beneath her dark fur. A low, almost inaudible growl rumbled in her throat. Jay recognized this behavior. Something was not right. "What do you see, girl?" he whispered. The dog's attention was fixed on a cluster of moss-covered rocks about 50 meters to their left. Jay adjusted his backpack and moved cautiously in that direction, trusting Bori's instincts. As they approached, a strange metallic glint caught Jay's eye. It wasn't natural, too precise, too angular to be part of the forest's organic landscape. Something was hidden among the rocks and thick vegetation. Bori moved ahead, her nose close to the ground. She let out a soft whine, a sound that was part curiosity, part concern. Pushing aside some ferns, Jay saw it. A fragment of what seemed like advanced technology, sleek, with strange curved edges that didn't match any human design. And then he saw her. She wasn't human. Her skin had a pale greenish-blue tone that seemed to shimmer slightly, almost like it was alive. Her body was slim and delicate, dressed in a material that looked more like a sophisticated membrane than traditional clothing. The alien girl was badly injured. Multiple wounds covered her body, some leaking a silvery liquid that wasn't blood, at least not blood as Jay understood it. Her breathing was shallow, each breath a struggle. Jay's medical training kicked in immediately. He checked her vital signs, using techniques he'd learned during his years of wilderness rescue. Her pulse was weak but present. Her body temperature was significantly different from human standards, cooler, with a rhythmic pulse that seemed almost mechanical. Bori sat nearby, watching intently. The dog's usual protective instinct was mixed with something else, curiosity, perhaps even a form of empathy that seemed to transcend typical animal behavior. "Hey," Jay said softly, "I'm going to help you." The alien's eyes flickered open. They were large, with irises that seemed to change color with each movement, shifting from deep purple to a bright silver. For a moment, they locked with Jay's, and something passed between them, a connection, an understanding. Her lips moved, forming words in a language that sounded like musical whispers before switching to broken English. "Water," she managed to say, her voice weak but surprisingly clear. Jay reached for his water bottle carefully, helping her take small sips. Her skin was cool to the touch, with a texture that felt like a combination of silk and something more resilient. The forest around them seemed to hold its breath. Sunlight filtered through the trees, creating a soft, almost magical atmosphere. A random bird called in the distance, breaking the silence. Bori nudged closer, her warm fur brushing against the alien girl's hand. Surprisingly, the alien didn't flinch. Instead, her fingers, long and slightly translucent, moved slightly, as if acknowledging the dog's presence. Jay knew he couldn't leave her here. The injuries were severe, and whatever had happened to her was clearly not a simple accident. Something had gone terribly wrong, and she needed help. "What's your name?" he asked, preparing to move her. "Hana," she whispered, before her eyes closed. Again. As Jay carefully prepared to transport her, he realized this was going to be more than just a typical rescue. Something extraordinary was unfolding, and he was right in the middle of it. Bori stood guard, her eyes constantly scanning the forest, protecting her new, unexpected charge. The cabin was small but well-maintained, a testament to Jay's practical nature. Wooden walls lined with medical supplies and survival gear created a makeshift emergency room. Hana lay on a sturdy camping bed, her breathing slow and measured. Jay worked carefully, cleaning her wounds with a mix of traditional first aid and the few medical tools he had available. the silvery liquid that had been leaking from her injuries, was unlike anything he'd seen before. It seemed to react differently to treatment, almost healing itself when exposed to air. Bori remained close, her watchful eyes never leaving Hana. The dog's behavior was unusual. Normally protective and sometimes aggressive with strangers, she now displayed a curious kind of gentle concern. Hana's consciousness flickered between awareness and deep unconsciousness. When awake, her eyes would scan the room, taking in every detail with an intensity that suggested more than simple observation. "Where am I?" she asked during one of her brief moments of clarity. "Safe," Jay responded simply. "You're in my cabin. I found you in the forest." Her hand moved slightly, revealing a complex device embedded just beneath her skin. It looked like a combination of technology and organic material, pulsing with a soft blue light. Jay noticed her watching him carefully. There was intelligence. In her eyes, a sense of calculation that went beyond mere survival. She was assessing him just as he was trying to understand her. "Your species is different," Hana muttered, her voice a mixture of surprise and something else. Respect, perhaps. Outside, the forest grew dark. Wind rustled through the pine trees, creating a soft background noise that seemed to calm Hana's rapid breathing. As night fell, Jay prepared a simple meal. He wasn't sure what Hana could eat, so he kept it basic: some water, a small portion of protein bars, and a cup of warm tea. To his surprise, she managed to drink a little, her body seeming to absorb the liquid quickly. Bori lay nearby, her ears occasionally twitching at sounds from outside. The dog's protective instinct was strong, creating a sense of security in the small cabin. Hana's technology fascinated Jay. Fragments of her damaged equipment suggested an advanced civilization far beyond human understanding. Metallic pieces that seemed to change shape, devices that responded to touch in ways that defied current scientific knowledge. "You're not from Earth," Jay stated, more than asked. Hana's lips curved into something that might have been a smile. "No, very far from here." She began to share small pieces of information. Her mission involved studying emerging intelligent species across different star systems. Something had gone wrong, a pursuit, a conflict that had ended with her crash, landing in the Oregon forest. The way she spoke was fascinating. Her English was broken, but her intelligence was clear. Each word was carefully chosen, each sentence constructed with precise meaning. As the night progressed, Jay learned more. Hana was a researcher, part of a civilization that observed but rarely interfered with developing species. Her current situation was an exception. She had been hunted, though she didn't explain exactly why. Bori moved closer to Hana, surprising both of them. The dog seemed to sense the alien's vulnerability. Her warm body provided an unexpected source of comfort. "Your animal," Hana said, pointing at Bori. "She is different, intelligent." Jay smiled. "Her name is Bori. She's been my companion for years." The cabin felt warm and safe. Outside, the forest remained dark and mysterious. Something had changed. A simple rescue had become something much more complex. As Hana drifted back to sleep, Jay realized his life would never be the same. Whatever had brought this alien to his forest, whatever mission she was part of, he was now involved. Bori watched over them both, a silent guardian in the quiet cabin, connecting two beings from worlds impossibly far apart. The night continued, full of silent promises and unspoken mysteries. Days passed slowly in the small cabin. Hana's condition improved, but recovery was not simple. Her body seemed to work differently from human biology, healing in ways that defied Jay's medical understanding. Each morning, Jay would check her wounds. The silvery liquid that had first concerned him now appeared to be some kind of advanced healing mechanism. Wounds that would take weeks for a human to heal were closing within hours. Bori remained a constant companion. The dog seemed to understand something about Hana that Jay couldn't quite grasp. She would bring small items, a soft blanket, a clean cloth, sometimes just sitting close enough to provide comfort. "Your planet is strange," Hana said one morning, looking out the cabin window. "So green, so alive." Jay prepared a simple breakfast. Nutrition was tricky. He'd discovered that Hana could eat some human food, but her metabolism was different. Certain proteins seemed to energize her quickly, while others had no effect. "Tell me about your home," Jay asked, hoping to learn more. Hana's eyes grew distant. Her fingers traced patterns in the air, complex geometric shapes that seemed to shimmer momentarily before fading. "My world is different. Metal, machines. Less organic." She began to share small pieces of her story. Her civilization was advanced, focused on scientific exploration. They studied emerging species across multiple star systems, but rarely made direct contact. Her current mission had been a research expedition. "Something went wrong," she said, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Hunters. They do not want some information to be known." Jay listened carefully. The more she spoke, the more complex the story became. There were hints of a larger conflict, something beyond simple scientific research. Bori listened too, her head resting on Jay's foot. The dog seemed to sense the importance of the conversation. As days turned into a week, Hana grew stronger. Her technology began to repair itself, strange devices reassembling like living puzzles. Jay watched in fascination as metallic fragments would slowly move, reconnecting in ways that seemed impossible. "Your medical skills," Hana said one afternoon, "they are primitive but effective." Jay laughed. "Primitive, but they saved your life." The cabin became a world of its own. Outside, the forest continued its endless cycle of life. Inside, two beings from completely different worlds were finding a strange connection. Hana's healing wasn't just physical. Her understanding of Earth, of humans, was changing. Jay's simple acts of kindness, preparing food, cleaning her wounds, protecting her, were unlike anything in her experience. "In my world," she explained, "weakness is removed. Injured are left behind." Bori seemed to understand more than she should. The dog would bring Hana small items, a soft cushion, a warm blanket. Her actions suggested an intelligence that went beyond typical animal behavior. As Hana's strength returned, she began to share more about her technology. Small devices that could transform, communication tools that worked through thought rather than sound. Jay was careful, curious, but not demanding. Nights were quiet. The cabin's wooden walls seemed to hold their own stories. Hana would sometimes make strange sounds, not words but musical patterns that seemed to come from deep within her. Jay realized something was changing. This was no longer just a rescue. Something larger was happening, a connection between two very different beings. Bori watched, always watching. Her presence a constant reminder that understanding goes beyond language, beyond species. The forest outside continued its ancient rhythms. Trees swayed, wind moved, and inside the cabin a healing continued, not just of a body but of understanding. Hana looked at Jay, her eyes now clear and bright. "Thank you," she said simply. The words held more meaning than their simple sound suggested. And somewhere in that moment something extraordinary began to take shape. The night was different. Something in the air felt heavy, charged with unexpected tension. Jay first noticed the change when Bori's ears suddenly perked up, a low growl rumbling deep in her throat. Hana was instantly alert. Her body, now mostly healed, moved with a fluid grace that suggested hidden strengths. "They're coming," she whispered. Outside, the forest's natural sounds disappeared. No crickets, no owl calls, just silence. Jay moved quickly. Years of wilderness. Rescue training kicked in. He checked his emergency kit, medical supplies, a hunting rifle, basic survival gear. Bori pressed close to his leg, her muscles tight with anticipation. The first ship appeared without sound, a sleek, dark shape that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. It moved through the night sky like a shadow, cutting between trees, with impossible precision. "Hunters," Hana explained rapidly. "They want something I discovered, something important." Jay didn't ask for details. Something in her tone suggested this was beyond a simple scientific dispute. This was about something much larger. Bori began to bark. But it wasn't a normal dog bark. The sound was deliberate, almost strategic. She was creating a distraction, drawing attention away from their position. Hana's technology began to activate. Devices hidden within her skin started to pulse with a soft blue light. Metallic fragments that had been healing now transformed, becoming something between a weapon and a shield. "We need a plan," Jay said calmly. The alien ships were landing now, 3 of them, each moving with a precision that suggested advanced technology beyond human understanding. Shadows moved between the trees, shapes that were not quite human, not quite machine. Hana's fingers moved across her skin, activating hidden systems. "They will not expect a defense," she whispered. "Humans are considered primitive." Jay smiled. Primitive didn't mean defenseless. The first attack came quickly, energy weapons that cut through trees like paper, but Jay and Hana were prepared. Using the forest's natural cover, they moved strategically. Bori seemed to understand the plan, creating calculated distractions. Hana's technology was remarkable. Devices that could redirect energy, create temporary force fields, communicate across impossible distances. But she was selective, using power carefully. "We cannot destroy them," she explained during a brief moment of cover. "That would bring more." Jay understood. This was about survival, not total warfare. Bori played a crucial role. Her movements seemed almost intelligent. She would bark at specific moments, drawing attention away from Jay and Hana's position, a tactical distraction that suggested something more than simple animal behavior. The confrontation lasted hours, not a continuous battle, but a series of strategic movements: hide, defend, counter, retreat. Hana's technology and Jay's wilderness skills created an unexpected defense. The hunters, expecting an easy target, found something entirely different. As dawn approached, the alien ships began to retreat, not defeated, but surprised. Something had gone differently than they had planned. "They will return," Hana said quietly. Jay looked at her. "Then we'll be ready." Bori sat between them, watching the retreating ships. Her tail wagged slightly, as if enjoying a successful mission. The forest around them showed signs of battle: burned trees, strange metallic fragments. But they had survived. Hana looked at Jay with something between respect and amazement. "Humans are not what we thought," she said. Jay just smiled. "We're full of surprises." As sunlight began to break through the trees, something had changed. Not just in their immediate situation, but in a much larger sense. A small moment in a vast universe had just shifted the balance of understanding. Bori stretched, seemingly satisfied. Another day in their unexpected adventure was beginning. The morning after the confrontation was quiet. Too quiet. Sunlight filtered through damaged trees, casting long shadows across the forest floor. Jay sat cleaning his rifle, while Hana worked on repairing her damaged technology. Bori moved restlessly, her eyes constantly scanning the surrounding landscape. Something had changed. The forest felt different, charged with an energy that went beyond normal wilderness sounds. "They will come again," Hana said suddenly. Her fingers traced complex patterns on a small device that seemed to breathe and shift like a living thing. Jay looked up. "And we'll be ready." The words were simple, but they carried a weight of understanding. Something had happened during the night's battle, a connection that went beyond language or species. Hana's technology began to show its true complexity. Devices that could communicate across vast distances, systems that could analyze and predict, with incredible accuracy, but she was careful, selective about what she revealed. "My people," she explained, "we observe, we do not interfere." Jay understood the implication. This encounter was something special, something that broke all their usual rules. Bori came closer, pressing her warm body against Hana's leg. The alien girl, for she seemed more like a young woman now, reached down to stroke the dog's fur, an impossible connection between 3 very different beings. As the day progressed, Hana began to share more. Her mission was about more than simple research. She had discovered something, a piece of information that could change everything. "Your species," she said, "is more important than we understood." Jay didn't ask for details. Some things were better left unspoken. The damaged cabin became a meeting point of 2 worlds: human survival skills, alien technology, a dog that seemed to understand more than any animal should. Communication channels began to open. Not through words, but through something deeper, a shared experience, a mutual understanding that transcended normal boundaries. Hana's device began to pulse with a soft blue light. "I can help your people," she said quietly, "but it must be done carefully." Information started to flow, scientific advances, technological insights, knowledge that could change human understanding of the universe. Bori watched, her tail occasionally wagging. She seemed to understand the importance of the moment. As evening approached, a communication came through Hana's device. Her people were watching, analyzing. The confrontation had created something unexpected, a potential bridge between two civilizations. "They are surprised," Hana said, a hint of amusement in her voice. "Humans are not what we expected." Jay just smiled. The forest around them seemed to hold its breath, waiting. The device continued to pulse. Messages from distant stars, conversations. That would change everything. Bori settled down, her head on Jay's foot, a simple gesture that spoke volumes about the bond they had formed. "What happens now?" Jay asked. Hana's eyes, now clear and bright, looked at him. "Now," she said, "everything changes." The sun began to set. Shadows lengthened. The forest held its secrets. A communication channel opened, not just between Hana and her people, but potentially between two entire civilizations. A small cabin in the Oregon wilderness became the most important place in the universe. Bori let out a soft bark, a sound of hope, a sound of beginning. Jay looked at Hana. Hana looked at Jay. Something had started, something incredible. The first step had been taken. Humanity would never be the same. The universe watched and waited.